I just want to take a minute to talk about the Orlando shooting. I know that the conversation is going to get derailed. It pretty much has already been derailed by cable news. In fact, it took until yesterday for them to acknowledge that this was a gay bar and that this was an attack on the It still hasn't even been referred to as an attack on the LGBT community, which is what it really was. It turns into the attackers, and the attackers are guns and Islam, or guns and Muslims, I should say, because Islam in itself is a doctrine. Doctrines cause people to do Doctrines will convince people to do stuff like this, whether it's Christianity, Islam. Buddhism doesn't really say anything about it, but most religions have some sort of tribalist part of them. But the conversation has been derailed, and this has given traction to people like Donald Trump, this attack, saying that Donald Trump, who himself is not a friend to the LGBT community in any fucking way. I know I definitely don't fucking like him. But Donald Trump deals with... So, Donald Trump, who said that we should ban all Muslims temporarily, like that makes a fucking difference, because it's religious persecution and we'd be throwing out our constitution, and what fucking nation throws out their constitution? So, now we've got people like Donald Trump. You're more likely to be killed by a Republican terrorist, and now it's going to be turned into Islamic terrorism. ISIS is in the U.S. We need to make sure we get rid of all Muslims. Oh yeah, and remember to deport the Mexicans too, because they're also doing a lot of the shooting. Because white people don't do enough shooting in this country. So, the fact that now you've got... So, yeah, now people like this get traction, and that completely derails the whole conversation, and it becomes about how we should either ban Muslims or how we should ban guns, which I have a bit more of a nuanced opinion on guns. I don't need to get into that right now. I can get into that on the American Anarchist channel. I'll leave a link down below I'll leave a link for that channel down below. But we need to remember that this was an attack specifically targeting gay people. And also, there were some trans people killed. This was an attack on every letter in the LGBTQ community, whether you'd prefer to put LGBT, LGBTQ, everyone who is not a straight, hetero man is... This was an attack on people who this guy thought were inferior. Like, that's the truth, is it was an attack. We've spent too much time talking about the attacker. A dialogue about the attacked needs to happen. The still poisonous views that a good amount of the country still has. They're not the majority anymore, but they're still a big enough group of people that they're almost half. And when you've got the South, especially, where the majority of people still are homophobic and still are blatant, and I should actually say blatantly, because you can be sexist, you can be homophobic, you can be transphobic without knowing it, just simply by accident. You can do it by simply You can do it simply by old thoughts. I know I've done it by accident. I've been, which is funny because being bisexual, I used to be pretty homophobic. I used to be, in my immediate family, the most homophobic. And even then, I wasn't like an I hate gay people homophobia. It was just kind of like when you play into stereotypes or you buy into that, you're feeding into the blatant hatred. So this dialogue, seriously, we need to open it. That's what needs to get talked about. And I think that's what this needs to be. This shouldn't just be another chance to politicize. We already get plenty of chances to politicize gun control. There are many foreign reasons that Islam gets politicized here. And it doesn't even have to be accurate. With Donald Trump, he could just blatantly lie. People still believe him. Like, it shouldn't have taken this mass shooting. He could have claimed there was a mass shooting made by a person in America who was radicalized. He could have easily lied about that, and he probably would have been believed by his base. All I'm asking is that we at least open up this dialogue. You can still open up the other two dialogues about gun control and about what, of course, we shouldn't ban Muslims because, again, it's against our constitution, and also they're not any more harmful than Christians are, than any religion is, which 90% of the people on earth are religious. So unless we're going to ban 90% of the human population, or hell, even that 1/7 of the human population that practices Islam, let's go and just let's not do that. If they were all terrorists, we'd be gone. We would have been blown up. The world would have been nuked. We would have been nuked the fuck out instead of knocked the fuck out, nuked the fuck out. People wouldn't be a thing on this earth anymore from all the suicide bombs. And then, as soon as we launched a nuke at someone. But, so we need to talk about the LGBT community and how they were attacked specifically, and about how we still harbor some of those beliefs in us. I mean, how the hell do we... Like, we live in a world where Anderson Cooper is talking to Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz is talking about how immoral gay people are, and Anderson Cooper isn't saying anything against it. And Ted Cruz has that cognitive dissonance, like, no, I'm not saying this to a gay person. Even though Anderson Cooper came out a while back about how he is gay. Like, I mean, come the fuck on. The issues that are already politicized, why do we have to open those up every time while ignoring other dialogues that can be opened up? Let's open up the dialogues that we don't politicize as often. Let's open up the LGBT dialogue. I just want to know I just want to know how people are going to talk about this. I want to know how cable news would open up this dialogue, because it doesn't seem like they're going to open it up anytime soon. Some people have opened up the dialogue, like Kristen Conger from Stuff Mom Never Told You, and the Kristen and Caroline, their podcast, the Stuff Mom Never Told You podcast, their Twitter account acknowledged that it was an attack on the LGBT community. So, if cable news does acknowledge that it's an LGBT attack, I'll be glad, but I find that very unlikely. I would like you all to have a nice day.